Hi. I would like to conduct some amendment of the Constitution. Those are somehow very important in the prelims perspective, and of course we can use it into mains as well. For example, 24th Amendment Act, which was very important, where Constitution or maybe Supreme Court has given more importance or more weightage to Article 39B and C over Article 14 and 19. That is, DPSP given major weightage on compared to fundamental rights. So we can use that into paper 1 in the society, because Article 39 and BC, both of them are very important, which talk about reducing the inequality. Also you can associate that with the SDG goals and all of that. Then into paper 2 as well, because there we have a topic of social justice in paper 3, and of course in paper 4. So some or other way this amendment will help all of us to write a better answer in mains and more precise answers. And if the questions comes into prelims, then I think 2 marks is like such a huge difference. So let's start with our some of the important amendments of the Constitution. So there is a first amendment of the Constitution which added ninth schedule in the in the Constitution. So what is that ninth schedule? Basically it talks about abolishing the zamindari, and also it and in the ninth schedule, those laws can be kept by a government. Those wanted to avoid from a judicial review. But after 1973, Supreme Court says that even though the articles or maybe any laws put into a ninth schedule can be done or can go through a judicial review. A very important article amendment. Of course, ninth schedule. So again, in the First Amendment Act, there was another important part is that there was a fundamental restrictions on our fundamental rights. Also in the 16th Amendment Act, the same way there was restrictions on our fundamental right. So let's talk about the First Amendment Act, where there is made 3 different restrictions on our fundamental rights, fundamental speech and expression, on the basis of maintaining the public order. Second was maintaining the friendly relationship with the neighboring countries, and third was to incitement, to stop the incitement of the offenses or creating havoc like a situation in the society, which was if that situation can get created, then individual's fundamental right, that is fundamental speech and expression, can be restricted. Thus on the same line, if we'll go to the 16th Amendment, where we'll find that again there was a fundamental there's a restrictions on our fundamental speech and expression if there is sovereignty and integrity of our nation is on the stake. So remember, at Amendment First and Amendment 16 are goes parallel. In the First Amendment, we have a restriction on a fundamental right on the basis of incitement of the offense in the society. Second, maintaining the friendly relationship with the neighboring countries, and third is the public law and order. In the 16th Amendment Act, 16th Amendment, we have two reason or the two grounds on which Supreme Court can stop our fundamental right or give some reasonable restriction on our fundamental expressions. Those are sovereignty and maintaining the sovereignty and integrity of our country. So these are extremely important amendment. We can use that into a paper 2. And nowadays it's too much hot topic, about the fundamental expression, fundamental right, and so many things are going on. So this was about the First Amendment Act. Now moving towards the Seventh Amendment Act. This is again very important. There are 3 important amendments have added into the Seventh Amendment Act. First is that there can be one governor for 2 or more states. Remember, there can be one governor for 2 or more states. That was added into a Seventh Amendment Act. Second is there can be a jurisdiction of High Court can be extended towards the another state or for another state. Third was there can be a High Court for 2 or more state. They can share the High Court with 2 or more states. So, for example, we have Bombay High Court, Mumbai High Court, which is shared by Maharashtra government, Goa. On the same line, there is Madras High Court, which shared with Pondicherry. Same Calcutta High Court shared with Andaman and Nicobar. Same with I guess Kochi. Not. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course, Kerala High Court, which was shared with the Lakshadweep, or which is also known as the Lakshadweep. Then on the same line, there is a High Court of Guwahati, which was shared between Assam itself, then with Mizoram, then Arunachal Pradesh, and then Nagaland. So that sharing of the High Court, of course, sharing of the governor was added by the Seventh Amendment Act. Moving towards the further Amendment Act, there is Ninth Amendment Act, which is little bit important, which says that there was some territory was given to Pakistan. Berubari Union case. Berubari is the region which was located presently into Bangladesh. So that region was given to Pakistan, East Pakistan, by the Ninth Amendment Act. Now moving towards the 10th Amendment Act. Remember 10th, 12th and 14th. All of these three Amendment Act you can remember consequently. So 10th Amendment Act says that there is, see, 10th is like a Daha in Marathi. Daha is a Dadar. Okay, Dadar and Nagar Haveli added as a union territory. So that territory was added into a union under 10th Amendment Act. 10th is Daha, Daha is Dadar. Very simple. Dadra and Nagar Haveli, which is specially says that it was a 10th Amendment Act. Now moving to the 12th Amendment Act. In the 12th, Goa and Div Daman was added into union. Okay, and after in 1987, if I'm not wrong, that Goa got the statehood. Then we done with the 10th, 12th, and there is now 14th Amendment Act. In 14th Amendment Act, Pondicherry was added into a union of India. So okay, so how we have done with this, 10 is a Daha, is a Dadar and Nagar Haveli. 12 is the Goa. Then there is 14 talks about the Pondicherry. All of these are very, very important. Now moving towards the 15th Amendment Act. Here 15th Amendment Act is also not that important, but yes, we must go through that. There is a writ jurisdiction of the High Court can extend above its area, territorial area. For example, if Bombay High Court or the Mumbai High Court has jurisdiction towards the Mumbai itself, or maybe for that say Goa as well. But if that culprit or the criminals actually running away from the Maharashtra and crossing the boundaries, then the jurisdiction can further expanded. So this is added by the 15th Amendment Act. Now 16th Amendment Act, as I already explained you that in the 16th Amendment Act there was a fundamental reasonable restriction on our fundamental rights on the line of or on the ground of sovereignty and integrity of our nation. That was about the 16th Amendment Act. Very, very important. Now moving towards the 19th Amendment Act. Again, 19th Amendment Act is important because if there is some doubt on the election process or in the election, then there is no election tribunal. We have to approach to High Court. Was added into 19th Amendment Act. Moving towards the 21st Amendment Act. Again, we'll go to the series. 21st Amendment Act, 71st Amendment Act and 92nd Amendment Act. All these three acts are actually talk about the language of our constitution. There are 22 languages are there in our constitution in the 8th schedule. So by the 21st Amendment Act, there was Sindhi as a official language was added by the 21st Amendment Act. The language was the Sindhi. Moving towards the 71st Amendment Act, there was 3 different language was added, was Manipuri, Konkani and Nepali. These 3 language, remember that Nepali is also a official language of the India under this 22nd Amendment, 22 official languages of a country. So this was the 71st Amendment Act. We added 3 different languages. First was Manipuri, Nepali and Konkani. Now with the 92nd Amendment Act, we have added 4 different languages like, if I'm not wrong, Maithili, Santhali, Dongri and one more has left. Alright, you can go and definitely can go through a book. Okay, that was the 92nd Amendment Act. We've done with these three important amendments. Now moving towards the 24th Amendment Act. Again, extremely important amendment in the Constitution. 24th Amendment Act. Okay, if you go to my previous president's videos, you will find that I have not mentioned about the 24th Amendment Act. If I'm not able to recall it. If I have mentioned it, it's good. If not, please hear me carefully. And if you haven't watched my president videos, please go and watch that. That will be really helpful for your preparation. So 24th Amendment Act says that if any amendment comes to president for signing, or any amendment come for a president's assent, here president have to give sign on this. He cannot return that amendment bill. He have to sign on that amendment paper. Again, I'll repeat it. If any amendment bill comes to president for his assent, he does not have any say on that. He cannot retain it. He cannot withhold it. He have to give assent to that particular amendment. That was the first. Second part in the 24th Amendment Act is that Parliament can Parliament can amend any fundamental right of the Constitution. But if you'll go to another Minerva Mill case, this and that, then 1973 there was a Keshavananda Bharati case, balancing basic structure, and then Minerva Mill case where balancing of the fundamental right and DPSPs and so many things. But right now we just have to remember that under 24th Amendment Act, Parliament have a got right to amend any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental right. Very important. Moving towards the 25th Amendment Act, this is again very, very important, because under the 25th Amendment Act, Constitution, given, or maybe a parliament, we must say it's a parliament, has given Article 39B and 39C, those are the DPSPs, upper weightage than the fundamental right, Article 14 and Article 19. I'll repeat it again. Here under Amendment Act 25th, Constitution given DPSP higher weightage than the fundamental right. Which are those DPSP then again? Article 39B and C, and the fundamental right, Article 14 and 19. So this article becomes very, very important because they are having more weightage than the fundamental right. So Article 39B and 39C. So Article 39B says that there should not be there is a community resources or natural resources. Those has to be utilized for the betterment of the community and should not be handed to a particular citizen. This is the Article 39B. Now 39C article says that there should not be concentration of the wealth to a hand of the individual or a few people. There should be a equal distribution or inclusive growth, inclusive development. These are quite heavy words, but it has definitely huge meaning. As we know that there is Oxfam report, it says that there is a 73% of the wealth of our India is in the hand of 1% of the population. There is a incredible inequality in our country, and that has to get reduced. So this on that line, 25th Amendment Act becomes very important. We can use this into the essay as well. So moving further to the 28th Amendment Act. Now this has, okay fine, 38th is not that important, but we have 36th Amendment is again becomes very important. Especially those are appearing for state PSCs. So 36th Amendment, in a very simple trick we can remember, 36 is Sikkim. Same, very simple, insanely simple. Sikkim is added to an Indian Union, or we can say given a full-fledged state identity to the Sikkim under the 36th Amendment Act. Again, very, very important. Moving towards the 38th Amendment Act. This is very important because it empowered the president to declare emergency or proclaim the emergency on a different ground. We know that national emergency was, added have a different conditions like a war, external aggression, or armed rebellion under Article 352. So different areas may have a different sort of emergency conditions. Somewhere there will be a war like a condition, somewhere there will be an external aggression, somewhere there will be a armed rebellion. So this sort of conditions simultaneously in India, they can proclaim the emergency, which was added under the Article 30 Amendment Act 38. Now 39th Amendment Act again become very important, because here it plays the dispute of the president, vice president, or a prime minister. Also they have mentioned about the speaker beyond the judiciary, beyond the scope of judiciary, and they have to get handled by the parliament. It is as per the Amendment Act 39. Just remember, I'm not talking about the election of the president, because the president election, the final say is actually goes to Supreme Court, and whose decision is the final. But apart from anything of that, the parliament actually handled like an impeachment of the parliament president, as we already learned that the impeachment of the president, the final actually done by the parliament itself. Now moving towards the 42nd Amendment Act. Now this is known as the mini parliament. So this amendment becomes extremely important, and that's why it is known as the mini parliament in the constitution, because it actually made a lot of changes in the parliamentary amendment, or the parliament or the constitution itself. So this is known as a mini constitution. Basically it was added by the Swaran Singh committee. Now we have to go in little depth of this. So remember, 1976 era was a huge turmoil in the political area in our country. So it was around an emergency time of by Miss Indira Gandhi. So during that time, they have added and molded a lot of our constitution, and that's why it is known as a mini constitution, where a Swaran Singh committee was established. So there is so much important of the things got added into 42nd Amendment Act, and are extremely important in the prelims perspective. First, that we have added 3 words into our preamble, and after that we never got a chance to add or make changes in our preamble. So in the preamble, 3 words are added. Those are integrity, secular, and socialist. Yes, these are the 3 important words added into our preamble. I'll repeat it again: secular, socialist, and integrity. Before that, we have not mentioned about the secular country. Now again, this you can, or we can use it into the when we are writing our mains answers or essay. Again, there was a very important fundamental duty was also added under the 42nd Amendment Act. Again, there are 4 important directive principle of state policy was added. Those are very, very important. Again, UPSC asked a number of time this question, that which are following DPSP was added and by the 42nd Amendment Act. So first is we can start it from anywhere, but yeah, there is 39th article, then 39A, there is a 43A and 48A. What is 39? 39 talks about the nutrition to the children. Okay. It talks about the healthy development of the children, or nutritious food to children's. That is Article 39. Then there is Article 39A. It talks about there should be legal aid to poor people, or justice should be reachable to them. It talks about, it is in the under Article 39A. There is also Article 43A, which talks about the workers' participation into the management of our management of that particular industry. Again, very important. And there is a 48A. It talks about forest, conservation of the forest, wildlife and river and all of that. Very, very important. These 4 are the important DPSPs was added under the 42nd Amendment Act. Now there is again very important list. We have 3 lists, that is the state list, concurrent list, and union list. Union list, state list, and concurrent list. So few of these topic, those are actually there into state list was added into concurrent list. And as we know that if the topic is there into concurrent list, that can be get handled by the union or the state, and if there is a tie between both of them, that of course the union get the more leverage. So again, these are very important topic which UPSC has been asked has been asking number of times this question. So which are those topics? Those were added to the concurrent list under Article 42nd Amendment. The first is, we can remember, is the forest. Then there is education, extremely important. Then there is, if I am not wrong, then there is a court, subordinate court. Apart from Supreme Court and High Court, there is a subordinate court. So that can be the part of the concurrent list. Then there is forest and wildlife. Again, here that's also important. Then what I have left: education, forest, wild animal, weight. Yes, weights. Weight is very important because the measurement that's there with the Maharashtra has to be there with the Northeast, same with the South India and same with the North India. So weight is again very important. So these are the few things those were added into 42nd Amendment Act. Few more things. One more thing, I think here the made the constitutional amendment beyond the judicial scrutiny. Again, very important. Here now, whatever amendment is made by the Parliament, that has the Supreme Court cannot interfere into it. It is beyond the judicial scrutiny. So this was, all of these articles were added into 42nd Amendment Act. One more has left, very simple, that has facilitated the proclamation of the national emergency in part of a territory of India. So not essentially necessarily we have to proclaim the national emergency to the all over India. As per the requirement, President can proclaim the national emergency into that particular area. So this was about the 42nd Amendment Act. So we'll just repeat this. 42nd Amendment Act, we learned that in the preamble, the three different words was added, was secular, then socialist, then integrity. There was a fundamental right. There was some changes in the DPSPs. There was 4 new DPSPs was added. Completely new fundamental duties were added according to the Swaran Singh Committee. Also, we learned that there was some 4 to 5 topics were there into a state list was transfer to concurrent list. Again, very important. So these are a few important things regarding the 42nd Amendment Act. Moving towards the 44th Amendment Act. So whatsoever was done in the 42nd Amendment Act under the Mrs. Gandhi's government, that has changed in the 44th Amendment Act under the Janata Dal. So they have whatever things have made by the previous government, they just try to challenge that and made it change. But few of these things are very important. So first, to remember, as per the context, is that the national emergency, that we say internal disturbances, that word changed to armed rebellion. That was very, very important because internal disturbances is very vague terminology. We cannot define it. So that terms change internal emergency, internal disturbance to a armed rebellion. A solid something has some definition. First thing. Second thing was that during the time of Indira Gandhi, the emergency was declared without even concern to the cabinet, and it was just declared without knowing to anybody. So in the 44th Amendment Act, they have made really quite good changes that cabinet's written recommendation to the president is a must. If president want to declare a national emergency, he should get a written recommendation from the cabinet. That made compulsory. Okay, these are the two important things. Third is under Article 359 that in the national emergency, all fundamental right can be suspended except Article 20 and 21, which is basically the part of 351, Article 359. So these are the 3 important changes which mistake has made into a previous government and made into a 42nd Amendment Act. They have overcome with the 45th Amendment Act. I'll repeat it again. First, we say that internal disturbances, that word was changed into armed rebellion. Second was that there has to be a written recommendation from the cabinet to the president. Then and then only he can able to declare the emergency. And third, there was a huge protection, not to all fundamental rights, but at least Article 20 and 21, right to life and liberty and everything. So 20 and 21 under Article 359 got the protection. These are the very important thing concerned with the national emergency. Another factor with the 44th Amendment Act is that the Parliament, the reporters got, quite a freedom to write true report of the Parliament. If you go back to the history, we should remember the Metcalfe reform under, I think, if I'm not wrong, 1836 Metcalfe Act, where they also made the free to the press. So, which was Ripon had, no, not Ripon, I guess, I don't remember right now, but Metcalfe Act, which actually freed to the press in 1836. So on the same line, 44th Amendment Act also gave or empowered to the press to publish the true report of the parliament or parliament conduct. Then important into over here is that cabinet as a word indirectly added into the it was inserted in Article 352, but which was under Article Amendment Act 44. Once UPSC has asked the question whether cabinet is a word is mentioned into the constitution, so answer is yes, it is mentioned into the constitution under Article 352, but which was inserted in the 44th Amendment Act. So I think we've done pretty okay with this 44th. Again, a little bit of left. So 300A article, which was a right to property, now became a legal, it's not a fundamental right to all of us, it's a legal right, which was again made changes according to the 44th Amendment Act. So this was about the 44th Amendment Act. Now moving towards the 46th Amendment Act. Now this 46th Amendment Act is not so important, but what I found it's little important because now we have uniform indirect taxes under the GST. So we can connect that dot and by saying that 46th Amendment Act actually made that uniformity in the tax reform in the country. So this I found it like I just wanted to connect that. So I think that 46th Amendment Act becomes little important. Now moving towards the 15th Amendment Act. Now here the fundamental right actually is not available to armed persons or maybe the government personnel under the 15th Amendment Act. Moving towards the next Amendments Act is the 52nd Amendment Act. I think this is quite UPSC's again favorite question. 52nd Amendment Act is an anti-defection law which was the part of 10th schedule of our constitution. We'll go into depth when we are actually learning towards the Parliament chapter. Moving towards the 61st Amendment Act, again it's very important because that has reduced the age from 21 to 18. Anybody like we have universal adult franchise. This is something is very important feature of our parliamentary democracy. So those have completed their 18 years of their age, they can vote to whichever party they wants to. So that age from 21 to 18 was reduced under the article or Amendment Act 61. Moving towards the 69th Amendment Act, this is also very important because that gave the special privilege to the Delhi as Union territories, and Delhi became our capital of our country under the 69th Amendment Act. Here under this amendment, there is a 70 members state legislature and is there, and 7 members legislative council is there. So we have to remember a little bit about it, that Union Territory Delhi become a capital under Amendment Act 69th. Now 17th Amendment Act. This amendment says that I think while explaining the precedent, I have not mentioned about the Delhi and Pondicherry also take part or participate into electoral process of the president. So here Delhi and Pondicherry made capable, or they gave authority to or give the power to elect the president. So Delhi and Pondicherry, only 2 union territories are there to be the part of that electoral process. This is mentioned into the Amendment Act 70. We have already done with the 71 Amendment, which talks about including Konkani and Manipuri and Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali language into official language into the 8th schedule, but we are not again revising it. 71st Amendment. Now there is a 73rd Amendment Act and 74th Amendment are extremely important because this is how we just open up our paper 2's social justice, or where there is a paper 3 about the Gram Panchayat and municipalities, or regional cooperative federalism and all of that. So we just open up our answer with the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. So 73rd Amendment Act gave the constitutional status to Panchayat. So before that, before 1992, there was a Panchayat, but there was no uniformity. There was no compulsion to conduct the election, to have a financial distribution, or to have every village the Panchayat. But after 1992, by passing the 73rd Amendment Act, it was made compulsory to formation of the Panchayat, and it has around 29 atom, if I'm not wrong. And with the 74th Amendment Act, again, the municipality got a constitutional status in 1992, and where 18 subjects are added. So this was about the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. Moving towards the 77th Amendment Act. Again, this is extremely important because, as we know, there is a huge atrocities on the scheduled caste, population. So, over there, 77th Amendment Act plays very important role because that gave reservation to SC/ST communities, youth, job reservation into government job reservation. So it become important under the 77th Amendment Act. So on the consequence, I will go to I guess 89th Amendment Act, where National Commission of Scheduled Caste and National Commission of Scheduled Tribe actually got bifurcated, and National Commission of Scheduled Caste made under Article 338, and National Commission of Scheduled Tribe under the Article 338A. So remember, 77th Amendment Act and 93rd Amendment Act go parallel to each other, which actually inclusive growth and scheduled castes and scheduled tribes communities development and their growth can be facilitated by these legislative acts. Moving towards the 83rd Amendment Act. Now, here in it's not that important, but I'll just read it that there is no reservation into panchayat to the SC communities, because there is no SC community in the Arunachal Pradesh. So, though it is not so important, but I just thought it like to give one insight. Then 74th Amendment Act. As we know that Lok Sabha and even legislative assemblies constituencies are actually by what the word is there is that adjustment or get adjusted the seats of the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies into the parliament and respective legislative state legislatures on the basis of 1991 census. So after that, there were actually, after every 10 years we have a census, but we are not supposed to use the data of that census. We are just using the data of 1991 census according to 84th Amendment Act, because as per 84th Amendment Act, when there will be election, there will be census conducted in 2026. Whatever data will come, then we will make the readjustment into our constituencies, into Lok Sabha and state legislature, which was talk about the 84th Amendment Act. Very, very important. Now, 86th Amendment Act. This is again very important because whenever there is a essay on education, we can mention much about it. So 86th Amendment Act has very important important changes in our education system. So we have added fundamental right, fundamental duties, and directive principle of state policies under 86th Amendment Act. So 86th Amendment Act, we have added 21st Amendment, 21st Article 21A, not 21, because 21 is a right to life and liberty. So there is a 21A which says that there should be an free education to all the children, those are in between the age of 6 to 14. Again, there was a DPSP was added, where it is the responsibility of the state to provide education the children, those are age below 6 years. There is a fundamental duty to the parents or the caretakers or maybe guardian to give education or send their children into education institutions, of course government education institutions. Those are in between 6 to